Good afternoon. Welcome back. He served 4 years in the Missouri House of Representatives and is about to start his 3rd year in the state Senate, now with a new set of responsibilities. Columbia's Senator Caleb Rowden joining us now in the studio. Senator, thanks for being with us this afternoon.
Thanks, Joe. Good to be here.
And now I want to ask about your new role. You're taking over for Mike Kehoe as the Senate Majority Floor Leader after Kehoe, of course, ascended to the Lieutenant Governor's chair. What is this new responsibility? What are some of the new responsibilities you're going to be tackling?
Well, the biggest part is what comes to the floor. Obviously, you're kind of the traffic cop for floor activity. There's a lot of other responsibilities. I'm the top partisan. I lead the GOP caucus. Obviously, for the President pro tem is over the entire Senate, and so it's kind of you just do what you're called on to do. I mean, the floor activity is a big deal, but obviously you have a tremendous say in kind of influence on the policy and the vision of the caucus and what we'd like to accomplish and how we go about getting those things done. You know, I like to negotiate. I like to be in those rooms when we're trying to figure out ways to get out of a mess and chaotic instances that happen a lot in the Missouri Senate. And so, yeah, so it's one of those things that I say you get none of the credit when anything good happens. You get all the blame when something bad happens. But I like being behind the scenes. I like trying to make the place work. And Missourians need the Missouri Senate to work. And so that's going to be one of my what I'm going to be really interested in is just making sure that those relationships are there, going out of my way to make sure that folks, we trust each other as colleagues, which allows us to get some stuff done.
Now, you mentioned influence. How do you want to wield that? What are some of your big priorities in 2019?
Well, you know, I think certainly our caucus, we talk a lot about tort reform, you know, trying to figure out a way to kind of level the playing field in the litigation environment. Education reform is something I think a lot of our folks are interested in. The things that I ran on when I ran in 2016 were better schools, a stronger economy, and a safer community. All of those things are things that are relevant to really every Missourian and every mid-Missourian for sure. You know, they take on a little bit different look from year to year. When I first came into the House, unemployment was pretty high. Now it's really, really low, and that conversation's moved from job creation to workforce development, which has been a priority of the governor's, and so that's something that we're working with Governor Parson on. We've already pre-filed some bills that are priorities of his, and so, you know, we want to do things that makes the lives of Missourians better, and so we think that is you know, an economic conversation. It's a way of life conversation. It's a healthcare conversation. Those are the things that we're interested in.
And one of the things that obviously you're going to have to figure out how to tackle is infrastructure. After Proposition D was voted down in the midterms, what's the plan now? Is there a possibility of maybe resubmitting that to voters with some more clear parameters?
Yeah, I think certainly one of the things that we heard, kind of the postmortem of Prop D, was the uncertainty and the clarity in the language. Obviously, there were other things inside of Prop D, which I won't get into the weeds as to how that happened. But you know, we think, and polling would say that there is the possibility that if we were to resubmit, repass, and put on the ballot a new gas tax, really the same parameters other than taking out the highway patrol piece and just saying it's a 10-cent gas tax that goes straight to roads and bridges, that there's a better chance that would pass. Now, you know, I've heard there are some folks certainly within my caucus and some folks in the House who aren't in love with the idea of doing that again so quickly.
But what about toll roads? Is that a possibility?
You know, I think I do know for the president of the Senate, Dave Schatz, is not a toll road supporter. There are a lot of folks that have, you know, some mixed emotions about them. I think inevitably what I would probably assume if I were to prognosticate how this thing plays out, voters probably see another gas tax on the ballot that's clearer, the language is clear, sometime in the next 2 or 4 years. And then if that fails again, then I do think we at least have to start having a conversation about toll roads, because at that point you're kind of running out of ideas as to how to really fix the problem on a large scale.
And I want to hit really quick higher education funding. Obviously, that's a big thing for your district with Mizzou. What's your approach going to be? Well,
you know, I think Mizzou's doing a much better job. I think the higher education institutions in general, 2-year and 4-year, are getting better at telling their story. I think MU specifically is doing better at telling their story. You know, in an era where we need to really make sure that this workforce development component is being addressed, that means that we have to pay attention to what our higher education institutions are doing. And if they're doing a good job of filling that need, then we need to fund them. And so that's something that I think those two things go hand in hand, and something I'm going to be interested in trying to get done in this session.
Senator Caleb Rowden, thank you so much for being with us. And we are going to have much more from the senator coming up later tonight and on our website, abc17news.com. We'll also have continuing coverage from the Capitol throughout the session, which begins January 9th.